Top of the morning to you. Hey, I'm Michael, as the grandkids call me Roo. Thanks for joining me Saturday morning. What day is it? It's the 20-something, 27th day of March. Okay, so 1 year ago, around from the 26th, 28th, somewhere in there, could have been the 27th. I think it was closer to the end of the month. I started painting, did the first one of these. Honestly, the first live what we called live stream, which has developed into the Roodoodles show, which has become the Roodoodles 857 classes. I came on at 8:57 just because I wanted to come on 3 minutes before 9. Nothing spectacular about the number, but then in the blessings, because of I'm highly favored, it's 20. If you add it all up, it's 857, it's 20, it's 758, it's 785. Add it any way you want, it's 20 minutes, which 20 minutes a day sketching will change how you sketch. And most of you, because you listen to me ramble and rattle and tell stories and paint a little bit and watch, you get about 20 minutes in this show, maybe sketching something. Or later, you'll sit there, you'll sip another cup of tea, coffee, in my case, Builder's Tea. They're not a sponsor yet, but they have sent me a couple nice boxes of tea. I'm counting on you, Builders. Come on. This country wasn't built on chamomile. So I need some bold tea to paint in the morning. These people get up early. Some of you as far out as way out in off the coast of the world out there past California. Bainbridge Island, I think. I mentioned you to some folks yesterday, Sheila and Ned, because of the stylus pens that you gave me way back when. I still have a couple of those laying around here on the desk. They quit making that pen. It's discontinued, and I've got a story about it. I'm not going to tell you today because there's something else about that pen. Anyway, welcome to the show. Let me say hello to a few of you, and then let me jump on and paint a couple things. Got to do a warm-up painting. My new book, the Aaron McLean book of Weird and Wonderful Words, and this is more Weird and Wonderful Words, has not arrived yet. I think it's probably because I bought it from a used bookseller, and they're like I am sometimes when those of you who are buying Roodoodles from me. The mail has been tardy. Oh, my heavens. But I've been tardy too. I'm just extremely busy right now. Just finished a shoot with a client, got the proofs out, and getting ready to pack today and head to Asheville for like 4 days for a shoot there for an organization that I honestly love, trying to help them raise some money. So my son's coming in and we're producing a big thing. Anyway, I'm excited about it. So getting all my act together. If I had an act, I'd get it together. All right. So, hey, let me say hello. Thank you for being on the show this morning. You're piling in here. And Kieran Binder, thank you for being here. Zoe, always love to see you. Joy Stokes on Saturday mornings, glad you're here. Donna Barton, thank you for being aboard. Brenda Wilcox, Trish Brown, Randall Taylor Craven, and Bob Hendricks. Morning from the splendacious cornfields of Iowa. No, the splendacious. I love the fact that one day you're going to go down to the local feed store, Feed and Seed, and you're going to pick up a product and you're going to say, look at this amazing razzmatazz, baloo, spendacious, baloo. You're going to come up with some word. People are going to go, who is he and what has happened to his language? I love it very much, man. Thank you, morning. Ken Sheets, thanks for being on. Deborah Spangler, Rosie B.G., hey to you. Kathy Morrow, Chinoa, thank you for being on the show. Chris, thank you. Whitaker, or Whitaker, as I like to say. Virginia Man, thank you, with two N's. I got it. From Montgomery, Alabama. Make me an angel flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Woo. Man, I love it when places remind me of songs, huh? Good morning, Ruse. Cindy Adams says, Atlanta Couch, welcome, Marion Jones. Greeting, let's paint. Pauline Bold, good morning. Our DNR Eagle Cam had his first eaglet hatch. Oh my gosh, come on. He had an eagle cam and they hatched a baby eaglet. Man, that's got to be beautiful. Saw my first golden eagle in just outside. Well, I saw one in Colorado, but I think my first one up in Vancouver, up off the coast of the BC coast of Vancouver, way up on the mountain somewhere. I'm trying to think the name of the little place. Flew through Seashelt and took a seaplane. Good morning from the foothills of Mount Pilot, North Carolina. Dorothy Beasley, thank you. Mount Pilot, you know what? That's the home of Goober and Andy and up 51 and 8. And yeah, I know all about Mount Pilot. Been up there. All right, Patricia Brooks, hello. Nice to have you here on the show. Thank you always for piling in. Brooke, loving it, man. I see a little picture of a rooster with a banjo there. It looks familiar. Brooke from Greenville, South Carolina. Pat from sunny Florida, the icon champ of the world. I don't even know how she finds that many icons in such a short time. I haven't yet to figure that out. Linda Lenhart, thank you. Melanie Wilkes, good for being on the show from Shellman Bluff, Georgia. Holy smokes. I don't know Shellman Bluff. I'll have to get down there. I like Bluffton and Buford. And morning from Riderwood, Washington. Raylene, thanks for being on the show. Susie DeLay, thank you. Megan McNevin. Your name almost works together. Megan McNevin, you could write a poem about that. Hey, Dorothy, don't you love that piece of music? I ordered that piece of music from a company that I do production work with, and I love that, and I'm into it for a couple reasons right now, because I have a grandson who's approaching 76, 70, he's probably 80, close to 80 days now of practicing every day on his violin. And that's going to just be so cool. He's going to 100, and he says, Roo, I'm not stopping at 100. Yes, I love it. And so, all right. So Barbara Mayer, thanks for being on the show. And Diane and Gracie and Jason. Hey, man, from New Jersey, it's Saturday morning, so no school for you today. All right, let's jump into it a little bit. I'll come and say hi to some of you later. I need to get the painting. Let me show you the desk. Here it is right here. This is what's laid on the desk, my coffee cup. I got a few fountain pens over here, and there's a Pentel. I wrote Pentel a note and explained to them what I'm doing, and I have friends out in the world that are buying Pentel pens, and we want to talk to them, and they didn't respond. But I sent Pilot a note about this pen and gave them the same song and dance, the little dog and pony show, yep-a-da-da-da. And they responded within hours and said, thank you so much for contacting us. We're Pilot in Florida, USA offices, but unfortunately the two pens, fortunately for us, Pilot, yes, but unfortunately for you, Pilot pens that you're using, the Kakunos, ship directly and are through our Japanese office. And so I said, okay, hey, the mail's slow, but I'll send them a note too, because I'm trying to get a hook on these for you guys to make some of these come into your life a little reasonable too, or at least send me some that I could give away to you. So that's just the first contact. I got to tell you about another contact in a little bit, and there's more to that story. So, all right. Somebody says I have sound. If somebody doesn't, but I know you just heard the music. I need my morning caffeine injection. Rue caffeine, you call it. Yeah, we got to keep working on the Rue coffee. I sort of let that fall, went by the wayside, and I've heard about my mugs. Listen to this. Here's the mug right here. Let me change this camera to this shot right here. The mug, of course, the Rue mug. I only have one of these. Well, I have two left. I have this one and I have one in the box, but it is promised to someone in Torrance, California. And I promised it yesterday on a long phone call. So it's on its way there. But here's what I found out. The printer has my bug out bags. I think there's probably 24 or so of those ready. They won't be ready till I get back to Asheville. I'll go pick them up. I don't want to say buy them now. They're not posted yet. But they're printed, and I'm getting more of those as the mail happens. And then this cup is back ordered, and I'm looking for a replacement for it, but it has to be as thick, as heavy, and as bold as this one. So I'm not selling out just yet. I've tried to order another 6 or 12 dozen, and I'm waiting on them. But it's just been a tough year last year for manufacturers to get in and get these things cranked out. So I'm waiting to hear about my mugs, but they're coming. So don't panic. I apologize. You might have to just drink hot tea out of your hands this summer until maybe later in the summer. May or June, I may have them. But if I find a replacement, we'll ship those immediately. But it has to be a mug that I love. And so I'm not shipping a mug that I don't love. I'm not shipping, oh, here's a thin little cup while I drink out of this. No, it has to be the diner mug that will fit perfectly around all specifications of that one. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let me paint. I'm going to paint in here this morning. I'm going to paint in the book. Let me get a little classical music. I just need a little classical. I was reading the book, and I'm just, picking through it already and painting a few things. This was the Sword of Damocles. This was, of course, combining, which we talked about when we talked about brainstorming. I talked about some of that on my class. You let one idea hitchhike on another idea. So this is not my cup of tea, and this is cut of his jib. So I put a thinking sailors need a good mug, And one of my first small diner mugs was that I drink out of. My brother brought back from the Navy, and it was what he used on the ship, and it was like held about only maybe 4 ounces less than this, but it was really thick and heavy. So I guess if the ship took a little turn or tumble, he was on a destroyer in the Mediterranean, and if it slid off, it'd bounce across the floor. Or maybe you could load it in a gun and shoot it. I don't know. All right, so I've painted a few of these. I'm going to paint a quick one this morning, and I just flipped open this page early this morning as I laid the book down, and it fell here. Still waters run deep. Ooh, that's poetic. But I went down to the next one, stir up a hornet's nest, and I stopped right there. So I'm going to take this small Yasutuma brush here, wet it a little bit. This is my one of my bamboo brushes. Look at can you see the difference here? Let me show you. Look, can you see the difference in the color? This is because the artist doesn't wash his hands. No, this is just wear and tear and aging of a piece of a cane, bamboo. And this one's a little newer here, believe it or not. Yeah, this one's the end is torn off of. This one has a loop, for hanging it. I love these brushes. More about that in a minute. Stir up a hornet's nest. So let me sketch something here. Let me grab a pen. Let me just grab a big old pen of some sort. Here, I'll just use this. All right, so... Hey, baby. How are you?
Good. T-Will just wanted to look in here.
Okay, T-Will, come in, please.
Watch the magic.
You can. There's a chair right there, man. Have a seat. Carol, you can close the door if you want.
It's hot in there.
That's fine. I'm good. All right, so I got a guest joining me in the studio this morning. T-Will is here, and T-Will is up from Florida, and but he's more up from that. He's finally up from a long day's nap. Got a young man visiting with Carol and I for just until tomorrow. He's here looking at some work and engineering, young man, and he knows that I paint and tell silly stories in the morning, so he's popped into the office to see here. So T-Will's originally from Haiti. From Haiti, and went to school in the Philippines as an engineer, and Carol and I invited him up for a couple of days to introduce him to an engineer friend here. So trying to help him out a little bit. That's what life's all about. Remember that. Okay, so here we go. So this is the warm-up. Stir up a hornet's nest, and here's what happens. Let's see. Let's put some, just put some doodles up here. I painted something like this several years ago. This pen is not writing real well, so if it keeps doing this, I'm going to change it. I think you can see where this is going already. Doesn't take long to figure my paintings out, especially when I'm just doing loose pen sketching. This is a lamy, L-A-M-Y, or a lammy, as I used to call it. But there it is right there. And then I think maybe I've got a hen here. It's hard to see these paintings until we start to get them together. And remember, I sketch these quick and fast, and the reason is it just helps me get control of my hands, and it also helps me stay loose, which is kind of what I want you to learn as a watercolor artist. Never met a watercolor artist yet who said, I just wish I could get more tighter. It's one of the rules, stay quick and light. And so I didn't really know where all this would go, but I think I see already. It's kind of like the painting that I did a long time ago. And it reminded me of it when I saw that. Stir up a hornet's nest. My mother actually used to say this to me, son, you would stir up a hornet's nest, or stop now, you're stirring up a hornet's nest. And so I would do that. Hey, I'm taking this bamboo brush. This is one of their all-purpose brushes. This is a Yasutomo. It's hard to read it there because I've even worn this off. I've used it, but Y-A-S-U-T-O-M-A, Yasutomo. And so here's this little French blue hen coming in, and you see I'm just sort of painting her around like this. If you want to pull your chair over a little closer, T-Will, you can do that, buddy. Just move it over a little closer so you can see here. That's good right there. Anywhere you want to drop it down. And give you a little idea of what I'm doing. I'm just painting some quick little paintings on here and just letting the brush sort of do its thing. I don't want to don't want to rush it too much. Just kind of let it happen. So just put a little yellow there for the beak. Don't you love painting over words? How they sort of just pop up. It's so different than just painting over regular white paper. And that's why you should wear a white shirt always, so you can spill paint on it. This one has never been used in here too. It's pretty doggone clean. Well, it was until I did that right there. Okay. Anyway. All right. So I do need a little. I need to ground these things here, right here. Just put a little ground in there. Just a little. I just marked through a little word that said these are all phrases. It's a little easier to paint phrases. So if you want to start this, why do I do this? Here's why. Starting in a book like this that has words or phrases allows me to think creatively, think like an artist. My point is, when I started with weird and wonderful words, I just see a word, and I'd have to, sometimes didn't even know the word. I'd have to read the definition and where it came from and the etymology, the whole concept of the word. And then what I would do was that I would start to think, oh, that reminds me of this. I would put that word into my context of roosters, or my context of Roodoodle painting, or as Annette Henson says, and Annette, I've taken the word from you, thank you. We used to say Roodoodleified, but Roodoology or Rooology is sort of the art of what I do, and it's kind of a fun word to hold on to. And so what I've done is I've taken that and I paint that idea in roos, and it causes my brain to fire. It causes as Dr. Jim would say at Fast Brain, those synapses are snapping. Okay, so they're going shit, and so I'm thinking, stir up a hornet's nest. What am I going to do? Well, I got to paint a hornet's nest. So hornet's nests are made out of spit wads. Yeah, that's what they're made out of, because those hornets chew up things, and they do like a honeybee does. They regurgitate it all, and so they just build it up, and it kind of comes flying out of there as they build a hornet's nest. They are not friendly bunch. They are about the rudest animals that I think God maybe made on the earth. They're up there in the badger department. They just have wings and they're smaller. And so I'll put some out there. Maybe I should paint a little. Watch this. There's an idea. Watch. So I'm just going to put some hornets out there, just like this. And then they don't look like hornets yet, but I bet they will when I finish with them. And I need a stick. Let's see. And if I were using a stick to punch a hornet's nest, I'd use an aluminum pool pole. There we go. Just sort of like that. That's kind of fun, huh? And so See how this sort of comes together with just a few strikes over the words, and it looks like you planned it, you made it, you want to read it. Provoke, usually unintentionally, I don't know about that with my brother, an angry reaction. Let oneself in for trouble. Run in opposite direction. One can fetch the phrase, the pain of a person who has blundered into a hornet's nest and has been thoroughly stung for it. So the caption here would be really easy to come up with. So this roo right here is turned around. Let me get this brush again. This is, let me get a little bit of brown. I like to do an opposing color. There we go. This music is a little sleepy, isn't it, T. Will?
I love it.
You love it? All right. So T. Will approves of my music here this morning. A little, you're so sophisticated. That's what engineering school must have done for you. Made T. Will sophisticated. I love it, man. I was in Haiti about, 10, 11 years ago. And we actually found out after talking yesterday, we weren't there at the same time, but we were in the same places. So we knew some of the places that T. Will would visit. And we both agree that there's a restaurant there that serves chicken that we would never eat at again, right? And if you could call that a restaurant, I'm not sure. It was like a drive-up shed that served chicken legs. And I wasn't too excited about it, but Polo Polo.
Yeah.
Is that right?
GPP.
GPP.
Oh, Papa.
Pop pop? Polo Polo. I'm learning a new language here this morning. So here's what I did. I put those little yellow things there. Now I'm just putting some little bullets out from them that are giving them some wings. And so the caption on this would be, what was that rule? Politics, don't poke. Politics, religion, and what else? Don't worry, it will come to you. All right, see the pun in that? So, what are those things that grandfather told us not to poke around with? Politics, religion, and, oh yeah, don't worry, the other one, poke up a hornet's nest. So there you go. There's your painting for this morning. Poulet is French. Yes, of course it is. And polo is Spanish. So look at that. Gracie, man, there's people who they'll correct me. But in Creole, what's the name of the restaurant?
GPP.
GPP. GPP was the name of the restaurant in Creole. So there. So cool to have another tech brain person in the house. He wants to know what kind of engineering did you study? Civil engineering. And the fact that he's here with me shows that he didn't learn anything. He's not that civil if he's hanging out with me. All right. Hey, let's do another one. So if you don't have a book like this and you want to push your creativity, this is the way to do it. You don't have to go buy this book. Just find something on the shelf and paint over the pages. Someone sent me a beautiful painting too. A picture of a painting this week, painting in an old hymn book. Fabulous idea. Just grab an old hymn book off the shelf, maybe the one you had as a kid. I have several of those. I took them from the church where I grew up that said, please don't remove this hymnal from our sanctuary. Whoops. But that church, I don't even know if that church is around anymore, but they've changed hymnals 20 times since then. They probably recycled and threw the others away. So I have one of the originals that I grew up with, and I haven't painted over it yet, but I might someday. And that's a great way to do almost a mixed medium piece of art, painting over words. But when I read some of those old words, it brings back memories or thoughts, as it does with the cliche. So that's why I do this. There's a reason, not just to take up your time in the morning, but to say, oh, how do I think like an artist? You take a concept and you tie another concept in with it. Ta-da! You're seeing collaboration fleshed out with you and a piece of medium. Does that make sense? Or media. All right, a book. All right. All right. I bought one when we got new hymnals years ago. Kathy Dietz, well, you bought one from your church. My church wasn't smart enough to, we grew up in a little town in East Tennessee. They weren't smart enough to think we should sell those hymns to people if they want to keep one. I just took mine. Sometimes I take things and can I just stop this music a second and just do a little moment of confession here? It's Saturday morning. Let's just do a little moment of confession. Sometimes I take things and I don't really mean to take them, but I do. Like Carol and I were at the Greenbrier where I blew this lovely container to hold my paintbrushes. T. Will actually made this glass. You know, Carol showed you her bowl, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, I made glass. And yeah, it's not straight at the top, which I said, and the glass blower says, you know, it's not really straight. I go, no, it's perfect. This is handmade. This is perfect. And so while I was there, though, one morning I was painting at the breakfast table, and I needed something to hold water, and they brought me this little cup here. It's stainless steel, you know, restaurant supply, probably 40 cents maybe, but I put water in it, and I used it as my painting cup. Well, I had all my pens, and I had my brushes, and I had my little tin Altoids of paint. And so I actually, when I packed everything up, I just rinsed this out, stuck a paper towel down in it, and dropped it in my bag, thinking I'll be back here tonight for dinner or in the morning for breakfast. I'll drop this off. Well, I changed the bags, and I got home, and I painted with it that day out on the trout stream. And then when I got home, I realized I had kept this little cup, and I thought, you know, I could box this up in a box, and I could send it back to them, and it would cost me $7 for the package to get back up there. And next time we go, I could take it. And I thought it's 40 cents, and I just spent $3,000 there. I'm just going to keep it. Okay, so I don't feel too bad about it because it's 40 cents, and stuff like that happens. And as I was stirring my coffee this morning, what made me think of that? It was this spoon, and it's not silver. Let me turn it. Do you see it? Can I turn it right there? Look, see the initials right under my thumb? MGH. Those are my initials. It's Michael G. Hahn, Haun. The English spelling of Hahn, Hahn, Hawn, Hann for rooster. This spoon is probably, T. Will, this little stainless steel stamp spoon probably cost, it was made in China, probably in the 20s, 30s. It probably cost, pennies on a dollar, maybe 3 cents. Maybe if you had to buy it today, 16 cents somewhere, maybe in a restaurant supply store.
That's not bad.
My son picked this up for me, and he did take it on purpose because it's my initials. It stands for Mission Guest House. MGH stands for Mission Guest House in the DRC, the Dominican Republic of Congo. So he lived there lived in an armed compound there, would walk through the bush in the mornings to help teach English at a bilingual university there. We were helping them shoot stories and edit. And he came home. He goes, hey, I got you a couple spoons. I'm going like, oh my gosh, you had a monogram for me. He goes, no, I took it out of the Mission Guest House. So I think and pray for what I did. It reminds me to pray for those people. Okay. And just like I put notes on my wall, there's my stories this morning. Hey, paint in a book. It gets your head firing. And that's kind of fun to do. You can do the same thing if you paint on a small piece of paper, but this morning I wanted to paint something else for you. Someone sent me a note and said, hey, thought it was your baby spoon. No, that'd be funny though, wasn't it? Yeah, but Carol collects spoons, but we purchased those, okay? We don't just go around. If we're ever invited to your house, we won't steal your spoons. I promise we won't do that, okay? T. Will, you don't have any of my spoons you're taking home, do you? You're taking any spoons home to your friends in Jacksonville? It's good to paint on old sheet music, newspapers, old books, go to garage sales, thrift stores. See there, look, you guys are already on this idea. All right, here we go. Hey, I want to show you something else. Somebody asked me about this painting and said, how long did it take you to paint this painting? I realize you did a time lapse, and I'm going to paint it for you and show you how long it takes. Ready? Watch this again just for a moment. Boom. Okay, I'm going to cut that short right there because you've just seen it. But so that's a time lapse. And so I draw that, and I draw it in regular time. I shoot it, and then I speed it up in my editor when I take it in because I have a video studio here, and I can do crazy things like that. And so I noticed, I wanted to watch again to see, I used a Pentel 05. I used my Lamy pen for some in the tail. I used a little bit of ink in the back of the tail also. So I'm just dropping a little bit of black ink on my little block here. And then I just used my regular palette. I used a number one Yasutomo brush. And my phone call yesterday, I had an email on Thursday evening from the company called KUSA, which is Yasutomo Brush Company. And they called and they said, hey, we've reached out. We wanted to reach out a little while ago, but thank you for sending us a note too. We reached back out because we know who you are. We know you carry paint in an Altoid box. And we know your antics, and we have a picture here of you painting a painting with one of these brushes. A CC1 Yasutomo brush. And I go, yeah. And so I spent an hour on the phone with them yesterday. And really, I think they talked 5 minutes. I talked the most, but they wanted me to tell them the story. A wonderful lady named Phoebe wanted me to tell the story about why I would, in my art, use a bamboo brush. That was an interesting thing. And she just wanted to know why that would happen. And so basically, I explained that Lee and Zen had given me the first brush I'd ever gotten my hands on, and I loved it. I fell in love with the use of it. I fell in love with how much water it carried, how loose it was. And so let me just tell you, there's more to that story, and we're going to continue. They're sending me some products to try, but let me tell you, so a disclaimer on that in full clarity. But here's what's happening. They're also going to send me some that I can give away on the show. So after I try some. So good news for you guys, because we're going to get some brushes that I can just send out every now and then and say, hey, try this brush and see if it doesn't help you bring water into watercolor. I told her about the rule book that's coming out. She goes, what do you mean rule book? And I said, well, they're really not rules, Phoebe, but they're not even strong suggestions, but they're things that might help you to not be afraid of watercolor. I mean, like, are you afraid of water? Are you afraid of color? Are you afraid you can't draw a stick person? Good, because we're not drawing stick people. But we're splashing and we're throwing ink and we're throwing paint. And so anyway, I told her that I did a class a couple weeks ago just on pen and ink. And there's a lot of you who do that. Of course, Jason's excellent at loving that. So anyway, those people are talking to me. And so here we go. Let me show you how long it actually takes me to do this painting. And here it is right here. Sometimes I just start with the beak because that tells me how big the painting is going to be. Make sure the head's in the right place if I do that. And look, I'm not going to do a whole lot back here because I'm just going to let the, this is how fast you sketch, isn't it, T-Will? You sketch this fast? No. No? Well, you could. You just have to not be afraid to make a mistake. No, you have to think you are going to make a mistake. And so what if you do? It's not that big a deal. All right, so I noticed that I grabbed my white ultrafine flare and I made a couple marks across the bottom like this, and I cross-hatched it just like this. Maybe just some lines coming out from the foot because those are going to bleed in very nicely. I also took this Lamy pen, which is a black ink fountain pen, and I put some black in here like this. Why did I do that? Because I want some darkness to appear in this tail. And so I'm going to use a little bit of ink, but I want to start it going in that direction. And I might do a shadow right there. So there's a little close to what I did. I'm not trying to make the same one. I couldn't. I don't do well at copying other art. Every piece that I turn loose is sort of its own piece. Why? Because I'm a lazy artist. That's why. All right, so now what I do is I've got my paint over here. I'm using American Journey paints. These come in tubes. I just squeeze them in the half pans. These have been soaked a little bit with the spray bottle. I just took the bottle and sprayed them, not soaked, but just moistened up a little bit. Bring them to life and say, hello, we're going to paint. Then I'm going to just take my brush, take a little cloth here. But this time I want quite a bit of water in my brush, so I'm not going to pat it out. And I'm just going to start in here, and I'm just going to start letting this water just dance into the painting. See there, it's coming in already, okay? All right, put a little right here, a little here. So and I'm not trying to fill in all the spaces. See that, T. Will?
Yeah.
I just left a lot of, we call those, this crew calls those holidays, okay? Okay, you're on a holiday right now. You're just taking a holiday.
Yeah.
What is a holiday? It's a little space. It's a little light. What did you do yesterday as we drove around and you said, whoa, I love being outside here and seeing things get green. Okay, that's what I like here. I like just people, you take a little holiday and a little space. And so that's really fun when you do that. Now I'm taking a little red and I'm punching it in here like this. And then I'm going to take some of that red, I'm just going to drop it down into the body like that. And then because I want some yellow in the Roo, because his beak should be yellow. And then also I want a little bit of water coming down. There's too much, but I'll go back and get some here. And I'll let some of that yellow just bounce back on his back like that. Then I remember I touched a little purple right in here like that. And then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pick up this little bit of ink right in this block. By the way, this is just a piece of slate block and I did a couple drops of ink there. I'm going to take my brush, damp, lay it in there, and then just lay a little bit of this ink in here and watch what it does when it touches the water. Look, is that cool? Wow, T. Will says, wow. He can see it so fine right here. Look, it gives me a brush look that I couldn't do on my own. I just let it go and do its own thing. Why am I trying to paint watercolor, T. Will, when watercolor paints itself? Okay? Just let it paint itself, people. Enjoy it. If I want to stop that right there, watch, I can just touch it with this. Cut the water off, cuts the flow off. You learn that in civil engineering when you're building bridges, okay? When you're building dams, you got to go, hey, we got to cut the water off here. We can't have any more water running in this town. You didn't know I was going to get into civil engineering in my watercolor painting this morning. Don't trust me, T. Will. I'm just making stuff up. All right, so a little bit of lines here and cross hatching. So what I'm going to do now is I'll come back in with a little Terry Tardy turquoise and just hit that right in there. And that's just the name I made up. That's really not the name of that color. But Terry Tardy is a friend on the show that lives out in Oregon. And she is a potter who, I don't know if she ever makes it. I don't know if she makes turquoise pots or not. That might be a hard glaze to work with. I don't know. All right, so there's how long it takes to do that. Anybody keeping time while I'm talking? Probably about 5 minutes. So I'll take a little painting like that and create it. And then what I might do is I might just get a little red and come in with a pen and do some little splatters like this just to give it some beauty spots, because who has ever seen a rooster that's just perfectly red? You don't see leaves on trees that are perfectly green. There's a million greens, according to my friend Chip Fur. Especially if you slow down to 15 miles an hour when you're driving down the Blue Ridge Parkway or from Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. You look around and you go, man, there are some gorgeous leaves on the trees, but we don't see them at 70 miles an hour, Chip says. So Chip, he's right. Slow down, take a little space. All right, watch this one more time now that you see me do that. Get ready. Boom. All right, you see that? You see the color I missed? I missed some ultramarine blue right in there. So let me just put a little spot of water in there and let some of that ultramarine blow in. I always like a little blue in the tail feathers anyway. So I saw that in there. No rhyme or reason. There it is. There's your little Roo painted. And if this gets too wet down here, this is my eraser. It's a paper towel. I can just kind of come in and go like this. Don't be afraid to noodle, doodle, fiddle, piddle. That's the name of the book. It's coming out. But do that with your artwork. Just enjoy it. Need to put some grass in here, T. Will. Everybody thinks grass is always green. Nah, not on this. I want him to pop out. So think I'll build a bridge. All right. Tell you, Will, when this dries, this is yours. Okay? There's your painting. That's your painting to hang in your office someday when you're working with an engineering firm. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome, man. All right, I'm going to lay it over here and let it dry, because if I don't, I'll mess it up. I'll lay something else on it or stamp it or something. All right, so let's do one more thing this morning. Jessica says, your splatter moments are my daughter's favorite part. Hey, why do I do that? Some people just want to make it look hand done. They don't want to make it look too pristine. I've never had that problem, making my paintings look too pristine. Trust me, it's never going to happen, okay? In the words of Garrison Keillor, who once said, the radio show I do is not slick. In fact, no one's ever accused me of being slick. So that's going to remain true in my life. No one's ever accused me of being slick. It's just, it is what it is. Hey, I painted that on Fluid 100 paper, and I painted it with a Yasutomo #1 brush. And the number on this brush is SW1. And I asked Phoebe yesterday what SW stands for, and she said SW. I said, well, I'm going to need a better story than that. Okay. But it's just the skew that you can pick it up with. And it really is called a universal brush for them. It's not their top of the line calligraphy brush. This is more of the calligraphy brush, the CC1. If you're doing rice paper and large pieces, and I may use this brush here, this CC1 this morning on this next painting. That gives you an idea of why I love these. Do I still use my American Journey regular round brushes? Yes, I do those lots of times when I'm working a little more detail, but I don't want to be loose and I want to be a little rambunctious and I want to splatter some. I pick up some of these brushes and that works really well. So more on that whole story with Yasutomo later. It's, oh my gosh, I'm just going to tell you a snippet that made me laugh. Ben Yasutomo in 1954 started the company, and he knew that Americans would love Asian art tools because, let's just face it, no one does calligraphy better than the Japanese, the Chinese. They just are masters at taking black ink and pens and dipping them and swirling and knowing how much water to put in and how much weight. And by the way, if you want to practice something in your own watercolor, that's what you work on. How much water am I bringing over to the paper? How much water am I letting out of my brush? Am I pushing the mop down? Am I holding it up? This is a mixture of probably 3 or 4 different hairs. It's a mixture of horsehair and badger and goat and I don't know, maybe something else. Well, let's make one up. Let's just make one up. Armadillo or something. Do they have hair? I don't think so. But it'd be something anyway if they did. All right. So anyway, we'll tell more about that story. But he wanted Americans to have Asian art, but he wanted the Japanese people that he was shipping some of this from to have American snacks. So he was transporting Asian art supplies in and transporting snacks back. So he had a business of buying and selling art supplies over here and there, and then buying and selling snacks over here and there. And I'm thinking, I want to know more of the story. I want to know what snacks he was sending over from us. Was it in the South? He'd be sending over moon pies. In Pittsburgh, he'd been sending tasty cakes over, or whoopie pies out in the north. I just want to know what he was sending back. I think that's a really funny story. So I'll do some more digging on that. SW1, yes, is a universal brush, and there it is. Opossums. June Jones says opossums. And by the way, June, just for fun, I don't even think I've mentioned this on the show. This is called Oops. Can you see this? This is a can of Oops. This is the Opossum Perpetuation Preservation Society, which I'm the president of since 1985, I think, or 83. This is pure possum. Let's see. Yep, Society, 1985, the Opossum Perpetuation Preservation Society. Pure possum run over on some highway by someone not paying attention somewhere in the southeast, sometime or another, somewhat fresh, contains no artificial color or armadillo. If you can't save them, at least eat them. Spread on white crackers, white bread or saltines with a pocket knife and enjoy. Goes great with the RC and a moon pie. So that was the company that I founded in 85, and it just fell off my counter there. The Opossum Perpetuation Preservation Society, people concerned about keeping your highways clean. Hey, this is also from Cheap Joe's. This is Kilimanjaro paper, one of my favorite papers. It's the original bright white. It's 140-pound watercolor paper, and it's been a while since I've done one of these paintings, and since T-Will is in my studio this morning, I thought I'd do one of these. So T-Will, I got to get some stuff out of the way because this gets messy. That's why I put on this clean white shirt. June Jones, you thought you were throwing me a curve with the possum, huh? Listen, you can't throw a storyteller a curve. I can hit curveballs. Opossum, she says. The Opossum Perpetuation Preservation Society. You know what the word spells in a mixed spelling? Oops. Because when you're driving down the road, you swerve, they swerve, they swerve, you swerve, and then suddenly, oops. The Opossum Perpetuation Preservation Society. Between 2,000 and 5,000 possums get run over on southeastern highways every day. Between 2,000 and 5,000. That's two. That's just two, not 2,000. See, you thought I meant between 2,000. No, between 2,000 and 5,000. So 4 got run over yesterday somewhere. And I used to keep up with them because they would send me notes and say a possum was run over. And I would say, well, I don't skin them anymore, and I don't like to eat them, and I'm done canning them. So make dog food out of it and take it to the biodegradable dog food plant. And I don't think you're feeding your dogs that, but it's not bad. Have I ever tasted possum? T-Will, you ever eat a possum? You know what a possum is? Looks like a big rat. Oh, yeah, okay, no. But, what happens? Listen, can I just say this right here? Let me just stop the music and tell you this. This is huge right here. If you ever get lost in the woods, follow a possum because he's on his way to the road to get run over. You know, they always say go to the nearest highway, so that's how you find the nearest highway. In the South, boom, I'll be here all week. In the South, if an armadillo gets, and armadillos, or when you go down toward Louisiana, you got armadillos, and they get popped down there. We call those possums on the half shell. So there you go. That's my stories. I'm in a rare mood today. T-Will. Thanks for being in the studio. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I've done this in probably a month and a half or two, and I always like to just get these Dr. P.H. Martin watercolors out. So, these are watercolors that I squeeze out of tubes into these little pans, and I paint out of that. Sometimes I use liquid watercolor. So what I like to do with liquid watercolor, where did that come from? Where did I have that on my... All right, so what I like to do with liquid watercolor sometimes is I like to just drop it on the page like this, take a little eyedropper, and just see if this will work here. Let's see. Yeah, it's not working at all, is it? Nice eyedropper. All right, so I'll just put it down there. So much for this eyedropper that you guys sent me. Okay, it doesn't work at all. All right, so there's a little bit. Let's put a little bit right there. Okay, then I'll take a little bit of yellow, drop it in right here and then here, like that. That's some yellow. Let's take a little bit of blue. I like this blue, and we'll drop it in here. Will's never seen this. T-Will's never seen this before, so I'm doing this for him today. Thought he might get a kick out of this. And let's put a little touch of black up there just for, there's a piece right up there. Okay, so I think I'm going to have a little more red and blue, but we'll see what happens as this works. Okay, so there's my rooster. Will, you see him?
Yes.
You do, don't you? You do. You see the rooster.
Yeah.
See? So when I do this sometimes for school kids, they go, there's no rooster there. But yes, there is. You see him already. You see it because you've been, why? Well, because I've been painting roosters all morning, and now he sees my style and my layout. So here's what I'm going to do. Watch this. And I have to be careful here because I have on this new clean white shirt. But I'm going to hold this up like this, and then I'm just going to blow on it. Okay? And then here. And then here. All right. So far, so good. All right. Now I'm going to take that bigger brush. This is a CC1 Yasutoma brush. I'm just going to wet it down. I'm going to put these paints back in here in this little box. I got them in a little box right here because it keeps me from knocking them over and spilling them on my desk. And then I'm just going to start with the tail feathers so you can really see them come to life. Look at this. A wet brush and just go into that and look how much paint is already on the page. You would not believe that much paint would have come out of that, huh? Crazy how that works. And I'm going to use a little clean paper towel. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to get some of this yellow and I'm going to bend it down into his body. But we're going to need a little bit of red that comes into that, but I also want a little bit of this blue to come in here and create some green on the bottom end, okay? So then we get this green coming in like this. And folks, look at the holidays happening here. What do I not want to do? I don't want to fill up all the spaces. I don't want to do that, okay? What's the fun in that, okay? So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to sharpen this brush and I'm going to come down with a little bit of a beak right there. You saw me put that there. I'm going to roll my brush in this red right here. Yeah, I am. I'm going to roll it right there just very gently. I'm using it now as an absorbent mop to pick up some of the red here so I can go in and put the wattle down here like that. Aha! And T-Will's going, no, that just didn't happen. Oh, yes, it did. It did. It happened right in front of you right there. And many of these folks that are painting on this show, T-Will, let me tell you about them. They're better artists than I am. They just have never had their own possum company, Opossum Perpetuation Preservation Society. People concerned about keeping your, oh, wait. My kid said he saw it better after you blew on the paint from the beginning. Yes, of course. You were supposed to see it better then. And so there, look at that. I'm going to go in here. And now I'm going to take a little bit of this red right here. I'm going to take a little bit of this blue right here. I'm going to take a little bit of this yellow right here.
Two of my colleagues are at the scene now at the Suez Canal, just meters from the ship, and they're sending us these photos and video that give some idea of the size of the ship and the scale of the problem.
I'm not sure what that is. Some lady just told us how big the ship was we're about ready to get on. I didn't know we were going sailing today. Do you, T-Will?
No way.
No way, he said. Me either. I don't know who that was. That is a fantastic. I'm inland. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, and my music just picked up someone on a ship. That's hilarious. Okay, so I think I'm just going to paint this other leg right up here, just hanging down like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with a little bit. Wow, look at that. Is that fun? I don't think I'm going to do anything in this middle section. I think I'm just going to leave it open and let it breathe. But I am going to put a little bit of dirt down here under him. I like to ground my rouge. So let me go in here with some of this pen. What could I use for this? I've got green in his foot. So I think what I'm going to do with this is take a little bit of brown on this big old bamboo brush. Let me get a little bit of this right here. I could go in here and get some color from this, but in this case, I want a little brown. I'm just going to come in here and put some shadow brown with whatever green is left in this brush and let it go. This is kind of fun. Watch this on this size of brush right here. I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to just take my fingers. I'm going to pull it apart like this. Okay? I'm just pulling it apart. I think you can see it. Let me hold it against this. Look, I'm causing this brush to go out like that. See that? Boom. All right? Look. And I'm just going to now drag it in here like this. And just create some grass. Look at that. Ha! Look at that. And then I'm going to rinse this brush out really well. And this is a pretty good sized brush. I want you all to see how big this is. This is there's my little finger. There's the brush right there compared to my little finger. That's an easy 1.1 in. This is called the CC1 Yasatomo. There it is right there. That's how you spell it. Don't you love the high technology of the show? Look now. Let's do a cutaway. All right, I'm crazy. I need a little bit of white in here. I don't use a lot of white because, see, T-Will, these holidays, these make the white. The white in watercolor painting is the white of the paper. But in this case, I think there's a little bit of white in this bottle left, maybe. It looks pretty dried up. There may be a touch in there. If there is, I'm just going to pour some out right here. Watch this. I think they can see this at home. Watch this. If any's in there, it's going to come out. Oh, there it goes. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm dropping it from about 18 inches. That ought to be enough. That's maybe a foot. That wasn't really 18 inches. I got carried away there. And then more fell out at the end than I wanted to. But I'm going to take some of this and just cover it up. And I'm going to drag it back in here like this with this brush. I wish I had a little bit of yellow in this foot right here. I'm just going to grab some and put it right in there. I just like that foot to be a little more yellow. And then I'm going to take a pen in just a minute, and I'm going to clean this up and make a fun Roo out of this, okay? All right, I love it. And you see there's a little spot right here? It's a little red spot. It's tiny, okay? That is the size of, that's about, oh goodness, that's the size of a ballpoint pen roller ball. And it's red. It fell off my pen. I'm going to go get a little bit of yellow and put with it right here. I'm going to enlarge it just a little bit like that. Perfect. I'm still using this big old gigantic brush. I'm going to go get a little bit of black ink over here on the tail of this Roo, and I'm going to come in and just touch a feather of it right there, a hair, and I'm going to do the wings. Ah! Okay. All right. Now I'm going to need something tiny. Oh, look at this. Look at this. See this little thing right here? I'm going to use this little, hey, Jack, good morning, buddy. Deborah Springler, Ricky, thank you for being on the show. Carol Todd Mundy, welcome. I'm going to take this pen. There's no ink on this pen yet. So I'm going to go and get some green off of my painting right there. I'm just going to get a little bit of green right there. And I'm just going to lay this little dip pen into it. And then I'm just going to go in here and go like this. Oh, and then I need some green. I need more green. Come on, get some green out of this painting. I need some green. And then I need to come in like this. I have painted a tiny, you know what that is? What's it look like? You see it? What's it look like?
A bird.
A little hummingbird. Look, that's the size of this hummingbird. He is microscopic. The whole hummingbird is, he's 3/8 of an inch long. I love this. That's funny. That makes me laugh. All right, let's see if we... Pull up some of this white right in there. Let that blue show through. Just doing that with a paper towel. I'm going to grab my pen here in just a second. I'm going to grab an 07 Pentel. Pentel, send me a note, would you? I'd like to talk to you about getting my friend some pens. Would you send me a note? Appreciate it much. Do some veining here on the foot. Come down with this. This other rooster's got his foot pulled up. I got to come in right here, and I got to put an eyeball in right there. There he is, and a little bit of black around this. I could also use that layout pencil that I had the other day if I could find it. Let's see. I had this cool layout pencil up here that I took it from my daughter's desk. That's what I did. Yeah, I took it from my daughter's desk. But I'll repay her on Tuesday for a hamburger today. Okay. So that's going to come in there like that. And use that layout pencil to just give me a little bit of that. Let it run through the paint. Drift in. Rough him up just a little bit like so. Maybe some bigger stalks of grass. I don't know what this music is I'm listening to. Some march. All right, so there you go. So there's the painting. What a beautiful song for a painting to finish on, huh? Nothing like a rooster that sings opera. This little painting has this tiny little hummingbird, and it says, "Stop saying I'm small. I'm a hummingbird." And if I sing opera in Latin, I'd have to hum too, because I don't know the words. All right. Hey, what a fun painting to do. Sometimes I want you just to experiment. I took a big piece of paper, so if it ran off the page, if I tried to do this on a little tiny piece, I'd be in big, big trouble. All right. You're getting just a little bit rough for me here, Puccini. All right, so hey, there it is. Look at this. Got all this beautiful purple. The only thing I need to do to make this painting Roo is put a little drop of, you guessed it, Terry Tardy turquoise, and I think it's going to drop right in from here. Oh, no, it needs a little more. There it is right there, and it needs a piece right there. I love it. And I'm going to take my finger and just smooth it in like this. Best brush God ever made right there is your finger. All right, so I like it. I'm going to put another little piece right here. I just like just want a little contrast in there. And then pick a little dark underneath that in there. I love it. I'm done. I've got to splatter it, and I'm going to get a smaller brush to splatter. I think this CC1 is going to give me a little more splatter than I need. Here's the thing. When you're working with bamboo brushes, go ahead and rinse them out really well. By the way, this water was absolutely sparkling clear when I started, and this paper towel was dry. So water management is huge. If you want to learn something on how to paint with these, just spend some time wasting a few pieces of paper with water and ink and water and doing that, okay? And I'll show you one more piece. I got 3 minutes before I close. I'm going to splatter this with a smaller little bamboo brush, and I'm just going to go in, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a little bit of blue, ultramarine blue, and I'll grab this other handle here, and I'm just going to come in. I'm going to hold it about 4 inches above, and I'm just going to tap like this, just randomly in, just kind of let it go around, give that bird a little sky to fly in, tap in like this. And I might come in, there's one more thing that I think I'd like to do. I think because I took a little too much red out of this top part when I was mopping it out, I think I want to add just a little more red in there. And I might reach in and get a little, let's see, I can do it right here. I might get a little bit of this black out of there and just do a spot right in there and right in there, just for a little shading, and let that run. Just gonna let it run and do what it wants to do. Not gonna push it too many different directions. And I want another little spot of dark right in behind here like that. And I want a little spot on his beak. There it is right there. Okay, there's my painting. Hey, I'm gonna post that today. Stop saying I'm small, I'm a hummingbird. Okay, I dripped on my signature, but you'll know it's me because I'll put a thumbprint right there. Okay, that's me. Hey, thanks. I got one more little quick thing I'm going to do. Watch this very quickly. And let me see if I can lay this down over here in the floor, T-Will, so it doesn't get away. And let's do one more little quick painting just because we got 2 minutes to go here. And I've got some ink left here that needs to be used up. So here's a quick little painting. Here's coming like this. He's coming like this. He's going here. He's coming back around. I like this little painting off to the side like this. He's standing on one leg like this, the leg feathered feet. And then this foot is up like this. I always like to do that. This is one of my kind of go-to sketches that I do from time to time just to relax and warm down after I've run a couple miles here. I feel like I run a couple miles when I paint with you guys. All right, watch this. I'm going to go in with some water. Give it some water. This is on, by the way, I'm painting on Fabriano hot pressed paper. Fabriano 140 pound hot pressed paper. And I'm just taking my brush and putting a little dirty water on there. It's okay because I'm painting with ink anyway. So this little gray that's beginning to come in is from my brush. I sketched this actually with a Kikuno fountain pen. And there's enough water in there like that. I'm going to go grab any ink that's left up here, a little water, a little bit of ink left in this block. See it right here? This was when I dumped it in earlier. I'm just rolling my brush around in this, and then I'm going to go in. Well, didn't have to go in. I dropped it. So there it is right there. Just touch it and let it go. I'm guiding a little, but not much. Adding a little here, not much. It's quiet in here, T-Will. Ya-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Don't you love it when this happens? So, is this how you paint in Haiti, T-Will?
Yeah, so others.
I know you don't.
Not me.
T-Will has been out of Haiti for a while, and a wonderful young man that we met when we were in Jacksonville a few weeks ago. And just at a dinner at a friend's house. And he said, wow, I've just finished engineering school in the Philippines. And I need to meet some people who are dealing with engineering. And so Carol and I invited him up and introduced him to a friend of ours who is a wonderful engineer, who said, you know, he may not can hire you, but he can certainly lead you in the right direction. So there we go. What a cool little painting. Okay, I like it. Let me get rid of that little spot right there. It's not going to go away, so I'll just leave it and make something else out of it. I think he needs to stand on a little bit of contrasting green, and there it is right there. And that's how fast it can happen with a little bit of ink and a bamboo brush. Don't you love that? I do. Thank you for asking me. Love the ink. Okay. All right, there you go. Hey, folks, it's been fun. So nice to have you on the show today, T. Will. People say thanks, and I think so too. I'll go back through these in a little while and let you know. John Robert Small, paint on, roommates. Risky. Hey, John, I'm looking out the window here, buddy, but I don't see my dadgum flowers coming up, so I might need some special counsel in a week or two if they're not popping over. Thank you for enjoying the show. Hey, thank you for liking the show, hitting the little hearts, and sharing the show with other people. Would you do that? Would you just post it and let people know that I do this? More to come about Yasutomo and the wonderful brushes, and also American Journey. And by the way, there's a link. American Journey, which is Cheap Joe Miller, actually introduced me to Lee and Zen, who handed me my first bamboo brush. And that's the story that I was telling them yesterday. And it was a fun story. They went, what? That's the history of how you got your hands on a brush? I mean, you just don't go and pick one of these up unless you see somebody paint with it or play with it. And so that's kind of what happened. Great things are happening. If you don't use too much water in a painting like this, you get this great bloom, the mushroom effect that takes over. And I love that as it comes in. It's just pretty doggone exciting to me. And I love how it happens. I love coming in here too with just a little tip of this brush and playing around. And I could do this for the next 2 days if I didn't have to go do serious work somewhere. Okay? I love it. It's not work for me. Melinda McLaughlin painted with Zen last weekend. Yeah, that dude is a trip, isn't he? Don't you love how he takes and rolls his brush in different pieces and lays them in? He is a master, and it was fun. He was the first person to hand me one of these brushes, and that was, goodness, over 15 years ago. And I just kept it for a long time and never even used it. And then one day I woke up to it and said, wait, I should use this brush. Blessings to you. I am out of here. Like a herd of turtles. What a long show this morning. Time to go mow the grass. Me too. I got to mow mine today. Here it is. I'm gone. See ya. Listen, short show on Monday. Just me on the phone coming to you from my location. So paint without me, but I will come on live and do just a few minutes walking around, give you a little walking tour of where I'm actually producing a video. But I want you to see it. And I'll have my bug out bag with me and do maybe a little sketch just on the scene of where I am. But it's going to be a short show Monday. Okay? So see you then.